Welcome everybody to the Hamptons International Film Festival, the 26th annual Hamptons International Film Festival. I'm Greg Shimizi with VVH-TV, Hamptons TV. And we've been broadcasting this thing when I had a lot more hair in 1996. But each year it gets more and more exciting. So we're going to show you the behind the scenes. We're going to have interviews with the filmmakers, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So stay tuned with us here on Hamptons TV for the Hamptons International Film Festival, number 26. Well, we're here with an exciting movie, and every place we go, they all try to get tickets. How can I get tickets to Ask Jane? Where can I get tickets to Ask Jane? There's only one showing, unfortunately, but I think they're going to put another one in.
If we all yell loud enough, yes.
Yeah, I think so. So you know, write your congressman. But I think they're a little busy right now. So it's a world premiere narrative feature, glorious 108 minutes, which is terrific. That's at least 2 bags of popcorn, the way I see it. Now, I'm here with the principals. I'm going to pass the mic down the line here so everybody can introduce themselves. Look right at that camera and. Yes, dear.
Hi, I'm Cait Cortelyou. I'm the creator of Ask for Jane, the producer and star.
And I'm Josh Folan, one of the producers as well.
And I'm Rachel Carey. I'm the writer and director.
Okay, one of them is not telling the truth, but we'll get to that in a minute. The shirt's 1973. First, a little bit of trivia. People at home looking at that date, 1973, it's historically not that long ago. In fact, the shirt is like from 1972, so it's, you know, a year before that. But what do you think 1973 represents? What do you think? And the answer is?
It was the year that Roe versus Wade was passed. So these t-shirts are actually courtesy of the National Institute for Reproductive Health.
And they're available. People can purchase them?
I'm not sure, actually.
You would think.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, it must be like
NIRH.org.
If not, you can certainly go online and support them, regardless of whether the shirts are available.
Absolutely, but it's a significant thing in light of what we're going through at this point of history. But you know, people think, oh, it must have been during the Civil War that it wasn't. Why did you make the movie? What was the ignition that said, you know what, let's do this thing?
Well, I'm an activist with Planned Parenthood, a lifelong feminist, graduate of Barnard College, and I learned about the Jane Collective, which is what the movie is based on, and they were this group of women in Chicago in the late 60s who formed an entire underground network for abortion providers when it was illegal. And they ultimately learned to do the procedure themselves and helped over 11,000 women before Roe versus Wade was passed. And I was shocked that I'd never heard the story, and I wanted to share it with everybody.
And it's amazing that you wouldn't think that, but throughout the nation there were underground pockets of women helping women. There were doctors that were sympathetic, and male doctors primarily in those days. And it was pretty scary because you had to depend on, you know, at any given moment, the legal system is right there to snatch you, or to dissuade you, or to prevent you from exercising control of your own body, which is horrible. But it's amazing. From that point onward, you know, where we grew and where we're growing now. And so historically, and this Ask Jane thing, the network, the genesis of that idea, like, how did it begin?
It began with one woman in her college dorm room. Her name was Heather Booth, and she helped another student at the school and realized that there were more people who needed this than she realized, and began having people call her dorm room asking for Jane to keep it anonymous. And it expanded and grew out of that and became the Jane Collective, and they helped women all over the Midwestern area, ultimately over 11,000.
11,000. So what a significant number. So it's not a problem that only represented a handful or something. And also at that time, just socially and spiritually, you know, different things with the church and all these other things, they had to overcome all of that baggage that you had to be dealt with, the guilt. Many women committed suicide instead of going to have an abortion. A lot of women died, you know, that don't don't appear in any statistic.
That's true. We found a lot of people are telling personal stories, including stories about their families when they hear we made the film, and we're hearing about, you know, people who lost family members to that. And I think for me, part of the film is about, we know what it looked like when it was illegal, and in so many ways it was worse. And so I think telling that story, you know, people have lost the memory of how bad it was, and people dying and so on.
Right.
But it's also a nice story because it's a little hopeful and active, and they did do something about it. And so it's not going to be a really depressing way to look at it either.
No, it's upbeat, and it shows that when people are cornered, that they can, you know, make a change, which is what you want. You know, there's a lot of things that are happening now that fit that bill, and among the young people, they kind of feel doomed. They say, oh, if we can't do this, we're going to be screwed. But it showed that, especially with a group of powerful, forward-thinking women that got outside of the box, you know, there was a solution, which is great. Great story, and I encourage everybody to see it. It's a world premiere. How can you beat that? Bring popcorn. I shouldn't say that, because the movie theater is like one of their mainstays, the popcorn thing. I'm going to ask you, how did you get involved with this?
Cait brought me on kind of in the infant stages of end of development, beginning of pre-production, to kind of help them organize their idea, I guess. Basically, I'm have a long track record of making films for very little money, and in the independent sector,
my kind of guy.
Yeah, the independent sector, it's hard to find money to make movies here. So,
very good.
Yeah, I kind of help them carry out their amazing
Now, what's
idea.
your next project? What do you see?
Well, I'm working right now on the Pussy Power podcast that we're working on turning into a talk show.
Wow, brilliant idea. That's terrific. That's going to be, I think Netflix is around here somewhere. So that's something that would be right up their alley. That's a good thing. Well, I wish you the best of luck. And again, it's Ask for Jane. To go get tickets, it's all sold out. You know,
Unless you keep hounding them, they'll schedule another screening.
Bug the box office and say, when are you going to put another screener out there? And it's available, has distribution?
No, not yet. This is like our world premiere, so I mean the idea is to play a few of these festivals and make a decision there. Based
All right, let me appeal to the investors that are in this community. We go into FIOS on Channel 14, but we're here primarily, we're Hamptons Television. And I know there's a lot of people there with those checkbooks. Go to your checkbook.
Yeah, I mean, if some really forward-thinking, well-to-do individual wants to just bankroll the entire rollout of the film, we can skip the whole distributor process.
And you can make the Ask Jane T-shirt with 1973 on the back.
Right.
So get out there, get in touch with them. And how do you get in touch with you? What would be the best way?
Yeah, you can go to askforjane.com. You can join our mailing list. You can also email us at askforjanethemovie@gmail.com.
Okay, so get out there and, like Jerry Lewis used to say, get out there and open that
Instagram too. Don't
Instagram.
sell the Instagram.
Instagram, what do you got on
Instagram at askforjane.
Can't be any easier than that. So go out there, see the movie, support the movie, and if you're a guy that has, or a girl that has funding, fund the movie, because you could have a blast. It's something that really should be told, and I think historically it's very relevant. Should be distributed worldwide.
What happened?
I was lying on my bed and I saw her go in my drawer and take a razor.
Well, I needed a razor.
At 5 in the morning?
You did this on purpose.
You really think I would do this on purpose?
So get an abortion.
The mob charges like $3,000. My cousin had one and she almost died.
I told you to come alone into the back.
If we had any other friends that needed this, could we give you a call?
I don't want to see any of you ever again.
What if we had women call my dorm room? It would be anonymous. I could explain about the doctor and what to do and stuff. It'd only be a couple of calls a year, right? This is Jane.
We are going to create a service so that any woman who needs an abortion can get one. Won't we get in trouble for this?
Can you promise me you'll quit when we get married?
We want to compile a list of doctors.
Here you go. Literally everyone I know thinks I'm pregnant right now.
I'm the one who interviews the girls. They don't interview me.
Wait, which one of you's pregnant?
It's not for us.
Girls are awful organized. Are you hookers?
Doing something illegal, we should think like criminals.
Here's how they do it.
We'll have 2 locations, a place for the abortions and a front.
Maybe it's time we get out of the shadows.
Announce that we're here.
If you need volunteers, you can call me.
We're up to 30 women a week now. Can I help you?
You have to say you're not involved.
I have to stick by everyone else.
You lied to me!
We're all criminals in this room, and that includes all of you.
I feel like this whole time we've been pretending that we can just ignore the system and we'll never get punished, but it happened. We're caught.
You don't know how tough the world can be. But you're about to find out.
I was just waiting to regret everything. But I don't. Why don't I give you our number, and when you call back, you can ask for Jane.
We are fortunate to have one of the world's finest photographers. He shot everybody. He shot the Beatles. He shot Elvis. Elvis going into the army. In fact, he left in Brooklyn at the Brooklyn Army Terminal.
Right.
And to this day, there's a big photograph. I don't know if you must have taken the photograph of the ship that he sailed on, and Elvis mounting the plank to go to Germany.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a mess, screaming fans and everything else, but you were there.
All the girls were crying.
You were there with the Kennedys. You were there with Marilyn Monroe and scores of others. I want to welcome Henri Dauman. And Henri, it's amazing. We're so fortunate to have you here, but you're probably one of the best kept secrets in photography. You're world-renowned, but like you said earlier to me, you're always behind the camera, but unfortunately the lens doesn't point that way.
You sound like my wife. My wife, Odiana, keeps saying that I'm the best kept secret.
No, and it's true, and I think your modesty speaks of your talent.
Well, I'll try to explain to you how it works. You know, as a photojournalist, during the golden age of photojournalism, you did not want to be so well known, because then you compete with the people that you're taking pictures of. And I pride myself on being an independent journalist, hopefully telling the truth as much as we could, and kept a low profile so that you could be almost invisible when these people were doing their thing, you know. So I was not there to comment on my life. I was there to comment on their lives. And I had to get to know these people. And sometime I would act as a fly on the wall. And sometime I would talk and touch the people, you know. Let's say I'm photographing Federico Fellini, the director, and
he got to like you.
Of course, we spoke. You know, he doesn't look at all like the director of the movies that we've all seen on the screen. And I was not happy in the way he was moving it, so I went like this, you know. And all of a sudden, I got a reaction from him. He smiled, just like you're smiling now. And I had taken, you know, that day my assistant was not free. I took my partner we were doing some films, and I had a partner in the film business, and he came with me to assist me. And
so one other
said,
guy.
That's how you handle Fellini?
Nobody
I
touches
said, well,
Fellini.
You have to improvise.
Sure.
And
well, like any artist, you actually model the subject for the best possible photograph.
Exactly. You know, I don't plan in advance. I try to read about the subject as much as I can.
So you're self-taught.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You didn't go to film school.
No.
You didn't go to. And from the moment, did you always like photography? You always fascinated?
Yes. When I was young in Paris, you know, right after World War II, I had very heavy events taking place in my life. Like I lost
your father?
My father, later on my mother.
Your mother was 1946 and
42.
42.
Yeah.
So
No, you're right, 46.
46.
42 is when she took me to hide in the countryside.
And it was devastating. You lost your father and a few years later your mom.
And many members of my family.
And you had to survive as a young man.
That's right, that's right.
And
so I had seen many American movies. When I was after school, I would go to see Laurel and Hardy, the Marx Brothers, and even films with Cary Grant or Esther Williams. I said, my God, I'd like to know this country which produces all these dreams come true kind of movies.
And during those horrific times, those comedies, did they sustain you? Did they give you a little bit of relief? Was it therapeutic?
During the time of the movie, yes. It took me to their world. You know, this is why when one of my surviving uncles in New York wrote me a letter and said, would you like to come to the United States? I didn't think
Where do
twice.
I sign, right?
I said, I'm signing up. I'm coming.
So you come to New York.
I come to New York on December 14, 1950.
Okay.
So that's last century stuff.
And you only spoke French?
I only spoke French. I had learned a little bit of English in school, but
only the curse words.
I could not really understand a thing when I arrived.
So you arrived in New York, and your uncle, what business was he in?
My business was working on 7th Avenue.
So fashion.
He was, I think he was machine operator, something like that.
Okay.
On 7th Avenue, yeah.
Excellent.
And he's the guy who brought me here. And
so how did you get into the photography biz from there?
Well, through very curved roads. When I first came, I didn't have a dime in my pocket. So I started to do packing in a ladies' underwear factory on in the 20s, in the West Side in New York. And
so you would
for a couple
say I'm
months.
in ladies' underwear. You would tell
I am
me
in
the truth.
ladies' underwear.
Unlike my brother that does that.
But I kept taking pictures, and I started to take pictures for a French newspaper called France Amérique. And this led to other things. I worked for European magazines. I would be like a one-man agency. I would cover various well-known people.
That you actually lived and actually witnessed the Nazi takeover.
Right.
It must have been unbelievable for you. It must have been, and you losing your parents and losing all loved ones must have been horrible for you.
Well, that's what war causes, you know. Usually children would get hit first. And it's a lost generation because during the war you could not do anything because you had to focus on hiding. So
and eating.
And eating as well, yeah. Well, that was not as important as surviving. Because if you get arrested, that was it.
You didn't eat anymore, right? That was...
You didn't need to eat, yeah. and they made sure you didn't eat. Yeah.
Does it amaze you that here's something that happened in your lifetime, and the generation that followed you, they certainly remember it. But now we're getting to a point where they're beginning to forget it. They didn't think, oh, it's not that bad. These trends that we see, no, don't. It'll pass. Don't worry about it.
That's the reason I accepted to do this movie. I was reluctant to do the movie, you know, when my granddaughter Nicole asked. This came about because she saw a video that I done for the Steven Spielberg organization.
To show her.
The show her, yeah. And I thought I was just doing it for the archive in Los Angeles and it would stay there. But she was visiting Israel and she went to Yad Vashem Museum and she saw my name and she viewed the video. She came out in tears.
She never knew the story.
She never knew the story. This is not a story that I spoke about before, even to my children. You know, so,
well, we're glad that your granddaughter is it that provoked you to do this.
Well, she provoked me to do this, and the second reason was that I thought when my generation dies off, and a lot of my friends are already gone, I'm lucky to still be here, that we should testify to what took place so that people can learn from our past experience. And this is very hard to do because people never learn, unfortunately.
They don't.
And they don't realize, because I see so many wars going on where children are getting hurt and they have no life.
Sure. And the atrocities keep, the faces change, but the atrocities
it repeats
are the same.
Oh,
itself.
Yes.
You know.
Henri Dauman.
We have an expression in French, plus ça change, plus c'est la même chose.
Yeah,
the more things change,
they stay the same.
Exactly.
The movie is Looking Up, world premiere, documentary feature, 86 minutes. Henri Dauman, you're a treasure. I could talk to you for the next week, but
Thank you
it's
very
really
much.
a treasure. Go see the movie. I highly recommend it. And it's playing in East Hampton and Southampton, but look for it. Does it have distribution?
Not yet. They're talking about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, here in East Hampton, there are a lot of people with big checkbooks.
Yes.
See? So I'm going to appeal to them at home to go to your checkbook and contact, where can they contact the filmmakers? Website.
There is a website, yes. I think it's, it probably is on my website, daumanpictures.com.
Okay.
/ looking up.
Okay. Contact for distribution to get more involved.
Yeah.
And your next project, what do you envision for that?
Well, maybe we do a part 2, right?
Part 2. Absolutely.
Maybe I'm the new Carey Grant.
You are the new Carey Grant.
Who knows?
It's a pleasure meeting, Henri.
Thank you.
Take
For decades as a feature photographer for Life magazine, he's journeyed all over the world.
Elvis Presley, Marilyn Monroe, Jane Fonda, Andy Warhol.
Our next guest has been called the greatest photojournalist of the 20th century.
He's documented some of its most important historical events, personalities and cultural changes.
And now at the age of 82, Henri is ready to tell his remarkable story. Henri, you've personally experienced several events that really changed the world. What has all that history taught you?
Survival. I think they heard some noise, and that's when they started to want to break down the door. We left the apartment with nothing. We left everything behind us, locked the doors, and that's when we went to the country. All of a sudden, I find myself with basically strangers. Even though I knew them, I was there alone. Unfortunately, my mother was unable to find any trace of my father. So after having escaped the war, my mother died right after the war in 1946, leaving me once again an orphan at 13 years old. So tragedy number 2.
Emigrating to New York after the war, Henri taught himself photography. He was soon hired by Life magazine to snap the rich and famous, which he did with gusto.
You told me once that you thought your life paralleled the movie It's a Wonderful Life. Can you explain that?
Well, one always thinks, as in the movie It's a Wonderful Life, how the world would be so different if it were not for the existence of one human being. So wherever I passed, things would have been quite different, I think. I mean, I created a life in the visual field. I created a family. I came by myself, and that's an achievement as well. So it's not only photography that motivated me, but it's the whole idea of reshaping my life.
This is Interview with Henri Dauman, Part 3.
Here we are. The most exciting thing that's happened here on the 26th year, took 26 years for this to happen, and the iPhone, and among other things, is the immersive storytelling component. And we believe, us old-timers even, that this is going to be the future of exhibition.
Yeah.
It's going to be the future.
It's going to be a big part of it.
Because real estate, being what it is, to put an IMAX studio everywhere is difficult. But if you can strap something on your head and be here in the Hamptons, I mean, you can't get any better. Live in Newark, you're in good shape.
Whatever you have to do to be here in the Hamptons is a good idea, that's what I say. If you can do it in VR, if that's the only way you can do it, good. I'd recommend in real life, though, because it's unbelievable. And this festival is, I mean, for a filmmaker, it's the biggest joy.
It's your first time?
It is.
And I'm here with B.J. Schwartz. That's me. That's he.
And Annie Lukowski.
Annie Lukowski and B.J. are the generators behind this thing that's being brought here. And from the onset, the moment that it was announced, people are crazy for it. It's actually being shown across the street at Mulford Farm right now. And the people here in town could experience it.
Yeah.
And give us a little background about it and what people are in store for.
So we've been in the VR business for 4 years now, and looking for a story that really allows audiences to find a character that they empathize with, and
I mean, what you're in for is a thriller.
It's called The Hidden.
It's called The Hidden. And it is a thriller with a pulled from the headlines twist that you won't see coming.
Yeah.
It's a movie that you know, I mean, our logline asks if have you been hunted, and we're going to put you find yourself in the shoes of.
We don't want to reveal the plot for anybody who wants to see it. So.
But you're in for VR is all about perspective and being literally in a place and being in someone's shoes.
Right.
And you're going to find yourself dropped into the environment in which is happening in the actual shoes of someone engaged in a game of cat and mouse, but you don't know who's the cat and who's the mouse.
Yeah.
I don't think I can really help you much.
Oh, come on. You clearly know everyone's dirty laundry. Look at that.
We'd just like to come in and take a look around. That's it.
Look, it's just for your protection. And, I mean, there's no reason for us not to come in, is there?
No, of course not. It's just such a mess.
Look, you're talking to two dirty bachelors. None of us are going to be offended.
Look, man, for all we know, this man's inside your house and you're resisting our entrance because you're under duress.
That's crazy.
Not really.
Thanks, officer. I'll take it from here. That's my little brother, Tony. Say hi, Tony. And as you can see, it's just us here. Safe and sound. It's a mess. No duress.
Hey there, Tony.